everybody. Hi, we got a new set.
Yay.
We hope you like it. We sure don't know if we do.
Yeah, because it's been a pain already. It's been great.
Yeah. But it's like we said countless times again. We'll probably won't not stop saying it until we finish with this podcast. Finally, it's a work in progress. We're just gonna keep things going. Keep things alive. I'm Nick. If you've never watched this podcast yet before, I'm assuming you haven't.
I'm Alexis. Hello.
Yeah. And it is our anime episode today, and there's a theme that.
And this is Metal Waifu, by the way.
Sure. I mean,
just introduce us, but don't introduce what this podcast is.
I mean, you clicked on the video; it already has everything associated with it. You're just like clicking on it. It's like, I wonder what this is. Hopefully, they tell me what this thing is or whatever. Like
Two idiots being dumb.
Yes, two idiots trapped in the room. Fighting with knives. We don't do that.
Fighting with knives. That's the other episode. That's the other podcast.
Yeah. That's where we recreate the Beat It music video. And
that's the Blackout podcast. That's what happens after midnight.
Yeah. After midnight. That's like my afternoon.
No fair.
Yeah. But if you can't tell by the setup here that Alexis has made, it's pretty. It's our Valentine's Day themed episode, something like that.
Well, it's just because it's February, and these are February episodes, and this is the biggest thing that happens in February.
Yeah, Hallmark holidays and shit.
I was about to say the other option was to just sit in front of a white wall.
I mean, true. I mean, I'm not bemoaning the way you said it. Now. It's pretty. Like I like it. It's really awesome, and you put a lot of effort into it.
Sponsored by the Dollar Tree.
Bless the Dollar Tree. Many.
Not really sponsored. Wish it was.
No, Dollar Tree, call us.
Right, Jesus.
First podcast to be sponsored by the Dollar Tree, excuse me. And if you can't tell by the pops here, I don't know how well you guys can see the pops or whatever. Our episode today is Yuri on Ice. I'm going to go ahead and let Alexis get into it and all that stuff because this is like her Mama Jamma, and then I'll Mama Jamma, it's a word. And I'm going to go ahead and get into my 2 cents. So go take us away, Alexis.
Cool. So, for those who, okay.
You don't like my transition?
I don't know. Was that like?
I did like a little
like a moving into a dab, but
yeah,
not quite.
It was like a fantastical dab. I was showing my feet almost. That's not free, damn it. I was doing like a little finger like swizzle thing, like kind of like taking us away, like a transition, like a Disney transition, where like Tinkerbell's like has her pixie dust. I'm like, yeah, ooh, and then like just to make it me, I dab into it, like.
Like, oh God, Jesus, are you okay? Did you hurt yourself?
Always hurt myself.
Jesus.
Do the intro, God.
Okay, so as usual, I have my notes here just because I write down some sort of synopsis for the little weeblets that may come across this and not know what this anime is. Little weeblets, you've never heard that?
Why is that so funny?
I don't know.
I'm just imagining Piglet with like a multicolored wig on and like a schoolgirl outfit and aggressive acne.
For some reason, he still has cat ears on, even though he's got his own ears.
It's like his little cat ears on his little ears. It's late. Continue.
Late? Well,
for us.
I mean, yeah, later than we usually record. But
it's oh my God. Continue, please, for the love of God.
Anyways, okay, so Yuri with how many exclamation points?
It's got
3.
Oh,
4?
3.
3 exclamation points. Yuri on Ice. It is actually an anime that is from 2016, if you didn't know. So this is one of our older ones we're talking about, I guess.
Yeah.
It is a Japanese sports anime, technically, about figure skating, if you couldn't guess. I don't know, it could be about hockey, it's on ice, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, it follows the relationship between Japanese figure skater Yuri Katsuki and his idol, Russian figure skating champion Victor Nikiforov. I think I never say it right.
I don't remember their last names, to be real.
Oh, well, yeah. And upcoming Russian skater Yuri Poletsky, which Katsuki. Here's Victor. And then over there is Yuri, or he becomes known as Yurio because there's 2 Yuris and Yuri Katsuki's family can't accept that. So, real cute. But it's as they take part in the figure skating Grand Prix, which I also went into a little bit of depth of what the figure skating Grand Prix is in case people don't know it's a real thing. I don't know. Some people might be shocked by that.
Thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was just like it's just like a general like world series of figure skating or something like that or whatever.
Well, I mean,
I didn't know there was something specifically called the Figure Skating Grand Prix.
Yeah, so it's the ISU Grand Prix of Figure Skating. It's a series of senior international figure skating competitions that are organized by the International Skating Union. Medals are awarded in the disciplines of men's singles, ladies singles, pair skating, and ice dancing. So the sanctioned competitions, which are the competitions I go to and you hear about all at the time in the show, is Skate America, Skate Canada International, Cup of China, I'm going to butcher this because it's French, but it's supposed to be International de France, but it's International. However, I'm sorry. It's NAUX is.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but
just run that. It's fine.
Yeah, you got my thing. I'm stupid over here. Leave me alone.
We dumb. It's fine.
I'm also going to butcher this one, but it's the Rostelecom Cup, which used to be known as the Cup of Russia, and then they changed the name.
Yeah, no chance I was attempting to pronounce that one because I saw it. I was like, how's that pronounced? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're saying in Japanese. It doesn't matter.
And then the NHK trophy, which is the one that takes place in Japan, and then you go to the Grand Prix.
So they use like
final.
actual events as
like that's part of my favorite thing about this anime is it's really, really like just on the technical end, it is done really, really well. Like the I'd have to look up all their names, but there is one guy who choreographed all of these performances that you see. And he did all of them, and they recorded him, and that's those skating sounds you hear is all him.
Oh, okay.
So it was just one guy that was in charge of all the choreography.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the animation going into the skating and everything, kind of, I don't know if it's exactly rotoscoping in terms of like how they animate and everything like that, but clearly they are using the animation and emulating it, or at least like overlaying the animation on some semblance of actual finger skating going on, which is interesting. It's funny because watching, I think it was specifically Yurio's skating, he has his hair kind of pulled back and everything along those lines. And then when you watch him finger skate, you're watching the person figure skate. I'm kind of just like, I'm pretty sure the person who's actually finger skating is a chick as their placement for it. Because there's certain points where you kind of see the face. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's who they rotoscope on, but obviously like fits the body type and makes sense and everything. But I was just like, that makes a lot of sense.
I think I'm pretty sure if I read it right, it's just one guy that did everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I know they at least used him. So he was the choreographer for all of them. And then all of those sounds, he did all of the performances. And then they had his recording of him, one to not only use for reference for animating, but also just for the sounds. So when they're actually doing spins, they're actually doing jumps, like those sounds are an actual figure skater that took off and landed them.
Okay.
Which makes me wonder, did that man also have to record himself falling? Because that sounds awful.
On ice specifically, wearing out his knees.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he'd probably do a pratfall to on the ice if he's done it for that long or whatever, sell it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's, I guess, a little bit of general background. I could also talk, I did put in here, this was an anime that was highly, highly rewarded. Like, came out, took the world by storm, and won so many freaking awards.
Oh, really?
It was well received in Japan. It won 3 awards at the Tokyo Anime Award Festival. It won a Japan Character Award. It won 7 awards in Crunchyroll's inaugural anime awards.
Those are coming up in a bit too, by the way. The anime awards.
No.
Yeah. We'll talk
Already.
about that stuff.
It was super popular on social media. It was even praised by real figure skaters, some even performing to its music in the 2018 Winter Olympics, which when I watched those Olympics and I heard that, I literally lost my mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Makes sense.
it's a very, very well received. It does have plenty of critiques, which I'll get into a little bit later. But
Oh, okay.
sorry, that was really loud. But yeah, so
Slam that shit.
I needed to put it somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
and
it's
it was-
good. Yeah. Knock them all over. Just like, forget it.
I know.
Screw this setup.
Jesus. Yeah, I spent so long. But yeah, so the general story here. So you're following Yuri Katsuki, who was just in the Grand Prix, and he failed miserably. This poor thing, like literally just bombed everything. And then he finally goes back home because he's not going to make it to the final. He goes back home. He's now gained weight. He doesn't have his figure skating body back anything.
No, he's eating too many pork cutlet bowls.
Yes, that's a whole nother imagery.
Yeah, apparently.
But yeah, so he ends up going back home, and which let me tell you, I have never seen a town be so into figure skating because he is like
It's not
the Messiah.
it's that's something I'll say. It's not just the town specifically. Like it seems like the whole like in this show's like world, like finger skating is like huge. Like this world, like finger skating is like the end all be all of sports.
Which I mean, to be fair, if that was like the only world that you were into, it probably looks like that because people are really into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's I just love when like they do like a move and everybody there knows that they've like done a specific move or that they changed a double or they added a quad and like they changed a double to a single and I'm like
yeah.
even me who's like I am really into figure skating and I know pretty basic things, I would not notice.
No,
I'd have no idea.
It's like for people who like are more in like show-ins, not really into like stuff like this. It's like if Krillin went out and was like doing the stuff. He's like, oh, he's about to do a Kai Blast, but like level 3 and with all that kind of stuff, or whatever. Kind of the equivalent, but with finger skating, right? Like everyone just seems to know the things and going on and everything like that. But it obviously it adds to the drama. Everyone's like. Normal anime thing is as the things are happening, they really like to explain and like go into detail and everything, which I think the show kind of needs, especially in terms of somebody like myself who doesn't watch finger skating that often or doesn't know like the ins and outs, helps. So like I at least know what's going on into it. So, but I don't know if you want to say anything else or whatever.
Well, I was just keeping on with the story.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that was if you can't guess, there's a lot of spoilers in here. I'm just gonna throw out this whole story.
Should we? Yeah, we should just go ahead and say spoiler.
Yeah, I usually put it in the description, but nobody probably reads that. But you know,
Reading.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so he comes back home completely defeated, and he decides. So Victor is like the top of the top. This man is the god of figure skating. He is the like, I forget what they actually. Wasn't he like the Prince of Russia? They kind of considered like the prince.
He was considered the Prince of Russia.
Yeah, so
that's because that's reiterated later on in the show because there's a character who calls himself the king of ice skating. He's like the prince. I'm the king.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, I love him. By the way, he is wow. Him and Chris. Chris is like okay. We'll get into it.
Right.
I might need to have my phone to look up all these specific character names again. But yeah. So he comes back home, and he had spent a bunch of time apparently learning Victor's routine, which I think it was his most recent routine that he won with, or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't 100% remember right now.
I think so. No, I thought it was the routine that he won. No, it might have been the recent one, or it was the one where it was like his young Victor.
No, this one was a new one.
Was it a new one?
I think it was the one he used at the last Grand Prix final when he won.
Okay, I gotcha.
If I remember correctly. Yeah, because he ends up, they end up using a lot of his old costumes and stuff. But
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so he ends up showing his friend because, of course, family's really big into the whole figure skating thing, and then he's friends with the people that own the ice skating rink, they're like childhood friends and all that. They all skated together. So he goes there. He's like, I'm going to show you what I've been working on. And apparently, well, she's filming him doing it, but then her little shits of 3 kids.
Yeah.
These kids are hilarious. They're my favorite
They're like
things ever.
triplets or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They apparently in the middle of the night or whatever, they got a hold of mom's phone and decided to upload the video to social media, which means it blows up because oh my god, you have this other figure skater that's trying to mimic the biggest figure skater out there.
And does like a good job of it or whatever.
Yeah, like it's not perfect, but it was enough that it caught Victor's attention. And Victor was apparently in the mind space of, I need to do something else because all I've been doing is just winning figure skating competitions.
All I do is win, no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm Victor.
But yes.
Last name.
Nikiforov.
Nikiforov.
Nikiforov. So yeah, he ends up seeing it and then just decides to randomly show up because his Yuri's family owns a hot spring out there. So he just decides to randomly show up, butt ass naked.
He randomly okay. Let me tell you the details about this part because he randomly shows up. Not only does he randomly show up, another detail you missed that was another part of Yuri's story. The reason why he was kind of defeated and distraught was everything that his dog died.
Oh, that's right.
His
yeah,
dog
the dog died.
The dog died, and that was.
I forget about the dog a lot.
How can you First off, how dare you forget about that cute ass dog? But here's the other thing. So Victor shows up into the hot spring with a dog that is of the same breed.
This part.
And you're like, okay, cool. He's just like, oh, because they found the dog first. And like, oh, this foreign gentleman showed up and he brought this dog or whatever. It looks like, I forget the other dog's name or whatever, and the current dog, but cute,
it was
fluffy
Victor.
dog.
He named the dog Victor. We need to explain that
Victor.
like literally Yuri is 23 and Victor's 25. No, 20.
Something. He's later.
A few years older.
He's older, yeah.
But so he's been idolizing and kind of like working towards, winning next to Victor for so long. But like part of the thing was Victor really liked this breed of dog and had this dog. And so Yuri got one and named it Victor.
Yep.
Which was like, all right, it's a little. I understand. I've never understood stuff like that because I know people like in real life that do shit like that with their idols, or they like get matching tattoos with their idols. I'm like, stop doing that. That's
Could
weird.
you not? Could you not? That's a little extra.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So he finds the dog, and then they're like, oh, this foreigner came in, and he immediately realizes, puts 2 and 2 together. He runs out to the hot spring, and then realizes Victor, no shame in this game, comes out of the hot spring water, buck naked.
That man. He ain't got no shame.
Another thing throughout the show that I also noticed as a theme, a very heavy theme, is dump trucks.
Oh, I know.
And this dude has obviously no frontal shots, of course, but they do show a cheeky shot, pun intended. And he points to Yuri. He's like, "I want to be your coach," and that's how that first episode ends. It goes into the second episode, but from that point forward, it's basically the show turns into Victor and Yuri like shenanigans mixed in with Yurio, who was originally having Victor help him train in his ice skating, everything. Yurio's 15.
Yeah.
And Victor's supposed to teach him, give him a program. When we talk about program,
he's 27.
Well, he's
25 or 27.
27. Yurio's 15, so he's trained. He's finger skated a lot, but he's in his senior program or whatever.
Which I didn't know this, by the way. I'm actually finding this out about when I did the research about the Grand Prix. So this would be they do say that it's Yurio's. It's his first time being in, but it's because 15. I think it's 15 by July 1st of whatever that year is when you can be considered to be in there. So he is like at the bottom.
Yeah,
He the baby.
Yeah, he is a wee child in that world or whatever.
Yeah.
So Yurio finds out. Of course, social media finds out
Yeah.
because Victor is such a hot item and everything like that.
Well, I think didn't Victor post it on his own social media? Because isn't that how everybody found out? He like posted something on his Instagram, and everybody was like, "Get there!" Media comes running down the road because media in anime doesn't have vehicles apparently.
Right.
They just all come running.
Oh, that's right, because he went to like the park or whatever, and there was like, of course, they're in a park where cherry blossoms were at because it's anime, and they're just like having a good time, and then like Yurio finds the post, and Yurio as a character. I mean, I'm just gonna bring it out his most basic core. He's the Vegeta of finger skating. He's just like the way he drives himself is he's kind of an asshole, kind of angry, but like he has a drive and he's really good at finger skating. So he gets down to Japan to confront Victor about it, and then Victor introduces them both, and basically I guess he gives them the ultimatum of he gives them two separate programs, and they have a challenge, an ice challenge at Yuri's hometown, and if whoever wins that challenge, Victor will become their coach, basically, right? Was that the whole angle?
Well, yeah. So when they were out there, because Yurio is trying to bring Victor back home, there's no reason for him to be there. Because another thing is that Yurio actually caught Yuri in the bathroom crying, like way back in the beginning of all this. He caught him in the bathroom crying and like told him to retire, that there can't be two Yuris in the game, and like just went off on it. Because didn't he call him a pig?
Oh yeah, that's like his
Yeah, little piggy all the time.
Oh god.
But yeah, so so they decide to Victor being, I love Victor because Victor just drama don't phase that man. He just like, you're so mad. Why are you so mad? He's like, I'll just do this and you'll be fine. And Yurio just absolutely hates him for it.
Yuri's 15. He's a emotional teenager. All that kind of stuff.
Exactly. So he comes up with where you get what is it, on love arrows?
So he gives him two programs. Yurio gets on love agape, and that is for unconditional love. And so for him, his unconditional love, I think the muse he uses for that is his grandfather, which there's some semblance of story between him and his grandfather and his family and everything. They don't go into too much detail about it.
You don't even find that part out until like later on.
No, it's during the agape thing. There's like a little hint of it. Because there's a little flashback of him as a kid and his grandfather picking him up, but I don't think they really go into much detail about that. Yuri gets the on love of sexual love.
Yeah, these are from the same exact song. They're just different movements of the song.
Yeah, they're just different, choreography. There you go. Yeah.
Well, they're different choreography and they're completely different movements. Of one piece.
Right. And so he gives him the same musical piece, but different movements, and whoever does best in terms of the scoring ends up being his coach, and it ends up being Yuri.
And they have an actual competition.
Actual
the town comes out.
The town comes out to the little hometown ice
rink. They like
rink,
made
whatever.
posters and everything. Those three little girls were the ones like promoting. They made the posters and stuff. I was like, how? I think these kids are like, they're under 10. I think they're like 6 or something in this show. And I'm like,
got enough drive, kid.
Y'all are way too advanced for your age. I'm bothered.
Wait, were you kids from the Promised Neverland? Like
they're like full on social media, like making all these posts about it and making posters and promoting. I'm like,
that might be.
I can't even do that now.
Low key, that might be our age, because I think there's kids now that can probably go on social media and know more about it than we do.
Probably, unfortunately.
We're getting old.
But yeah, and this is the thing, like, you never actually find out the scoring for that. You never find out who the winner is. It's Yurio sees Victor's reaction to Yuri performing, and he just immediately can tell from Victor's expression that he's lost.
Yeah, he just knows that he's out for this, and he walks out. Yeah. And it ends up being
so starts the journey through multiple ice skating competitions where you meet multiple characters, multiple nations, and then you learn as we go along and everything like that.
about the competition. They do go into scoring at one point, using the little girls as the way to explain how the scoring works and everything.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
little girls do the breakdown.
Yeah. And then as the series kind of goes along, and like the whole reason why the theme for Valentine's Day is with this episode is that the connection between Victor and Yuri becomes romantic, and it's
But not really because it's Japan.
heavily
This is a whole
implied.
thing I'm gonna freaking talk
Oh,
about.
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't understand how big I am
yeah.
on the politics of this.
Yeah. No, I got you. It's aggressively, heavily applied that they're in a relationship. They don't say it outright. Like, I mean, they basically say it outright, but it's what they can get away with, I guess, at this point. But it becomes romantic, and it's what it is. And that's kind of the whole journey is Yuri kind of gaining the confidence in himself through love and through his ice skating and through Victor and everything, and going through the whole series.
And it's a massive underdog story.
Oh yeah.
Because nobody understood why Victor was going to train this guy. Nobody understood what, like, he failed so miserably. Like, what's the point? And then here he comes back with such a vengeance.
Right.
Being even like going against Victor's wishes and things like that on certain episodes, which I loved because he was like, "Oh, it's just like me." Wow.
Right. Do you have anything you want to add before I go into an analogy I have for this show? For me, at least,
Well, I
watching
mean, there's
it.
a lot I can talk about. So, I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot that I planned to talk about.
Okay. I mean, like, I think I can explain to you my analogy for this, and I think you could probably. I think we'll discuss the intricacies of everything and the characters and all that, but I want to at least, because I know you're extremely into this show. Like, I know, like, you've done dance, you like all that kind of stuff and everything along those lines. So I have an analogy. It's gonna be a bit lengthy, but it's the way I feel like when I was watching this show. So bear with me if you will. You need to go get your car repaired, right? Like, it's been a while. You hear your brakes grinding. You're like, it's been a while. I got money in the bank. I can go get this fixed, right? So you go to the car place, and somehow, for some reason, you can't get a ride. Your phone died, so you can't Uber. You can't do any of that stuff. And so it's winter, and it's about that time where the Winter Olympics are on. And you're sitting in the waiting room, and you're just like, oh, cool. Figure skating's on. I'm like, I'm gonna watch some figure skating. It's pretty. They dance a lot. They do a lot of these cool moves and everything. But for some reason, the sound's on. So you're also getting all the commentary on it. So you're hearing about every detail about their dance and their thing. And they're like, oh, this is themed after love, or this is themed after one character in the show's theme is like a witch's curse. One character's, and you're listening to everything they're talking about, and me, not really in this world, just kind of sitting there, like, that's cool. That's pretty. That's nice. I mean, yeah. All right. Is my car all done? Hey, okay. It's, for me, watching this show, I liked certain aspects of it, right? Like, I like the way it's animated. It's beautifully animated show. Every time the finger skating is going on, I'm impressed by how the way it looks and everything. And even when the finger skating isn't going on, it's actually just a beautiful looking show. There's like beautiful scenes when we're in Yuri's town, and there's the snow and there's the cherry blossoms, and it's all beautifully well done. Scenes in Russia here and there and everything.
When they're exchanging rings, like the lighting that's on that scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
Perfect.
Jesus, is
Great.
beautiful.
And there's character aspects I like, because we meet this whole bevy of characters during the Grand Prix, right? Which I think is why I wanted to kind of go into it, because we're going to go into all the other characters. You had certain characters who had different backgrounds and different stories that I really actually liked how detailed everyone kind of got into. Like the one I was referring to is this dude, one of the other Russian skaters, not Yurio, is this guy whose whole theme throughout the entire his dance routine is his breakup with his girlfriend.
That man is wild.
That
and
dude-
she's in the audience, and where are you going?
She's leaving in the middle of his set, and she looks at him dead in the fucking face and gives him the thumbs down. I'm like, yo. And then his homeboys, his Russian people, are just like, yo, is he crying in the middle of the rink? What a drama queen. I'm like, you're in ice skating. Excuse me? What?
I know. It's all about the drama. I was like, what?
Oh yeah. I was like, you're the ones? Girl, excuse me. Hello? Like I felt for that dude 100%. And then who else was there? There was
What's his name? I want to find it.
yeah, I forget that dude's name. There's a kid from Thailand, which I love towards the end, where you find out what he really wants to do as a figure skater is open his own like ice skating show and everything. And he had like this whole
Petite?
oh, Pichit, yeah.
I think
Again, idiots. We can't help
he's
it.
supposed to be from Thailand, so that name is really hard to pronounce.
Yeah. But he has like he shows like his like imagination, like showing like his show that he wants to do, and it's all colorful and pretty. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, good for him. And then like this Chris guy.
Chris is one of my favorite, and I'm going to explain to you why he's one of my favorites.
Go ahead and explain it, and then I need you to understand where I was at when I was watching him
Okay,
skate.
so Christoph. So I come from the world of competitive dance as well, which obviously is not exactly the same, but there's a lot of overlapping because it's telling a story through your body. It's, there's a lot of emotions. People draw from like their personal experiences when they do a routine. Like, we all do competitions. We all move around. We travel, do whatever, so and we all have these colorful characters. There's stereotypes that go everywhere. Obviously, when it comes to dance, there's the stereotypical dance mom. There's the stereotypical, like pompous dancer that is amazing at what she does. There's the constant underdog that like cries after she gets off stage every time or like whatever. You have the dancer that dances so hard that she throws up as soon as she gets off stage. Happens way more often than you probably want to know.
I'm sure.
It almost happened to me, but, yeah, so there's these characters and then you don't come across them often. They are like, but I'm sure most people, if you've spent at least a couple years in the competitive scene, you've come across at least one person that fits this thing. And Christoph is like the highest of the high of like colorful character that is just maybe a little too passionate about what they do.
He is in the middle of he ends his routine. And so as everyone's skating, they're having their inner monologue as they're going through, and he's intense, he's into it. He's like talking about how he wanted to beat Victor and all that kind of stuff.
I am the sexual person.
And he's all into it, and then he gets towards the end, and he literally just, to himself, he's like, I think I'm gonna come. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yep. And then he just ends. I'm mad at them though, because when they made him end, there was just a crotch shot, and I was like, "Are we gonna see something?"
There's an ass shot with him too.
I
There's
know.
there's twice in the series. There's just like like the most well defined.
Which I get that it's like he's supposed to be, because his whole thing, he's like Yuri over here with his like adolescent love, like I'm the adult sexual love, and I'm like, Jesus, man, this is a lot.
He is in it. He's in it, and then he talks. At one point, because there's also like fangirls and stuff, and like some of the people that Yuri brings along, like his friends or whatever, some of the girls are like losing their mind. And then after Chris's performance, somebody made the comment of like, "Yo, the dance floor is freaking wet right now."
Yep.
Like it's soaked. I'm like, oh my god, get a room.
That man is.
He's like splayed out on the ice floor, just like panting and like red. I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, excuse me, hello.
It's such an experience.
Oh
really
my god!
is.
And there's the JJ guy, who's this dude from Canada,
Jean-Jacques.
the king of ice skating.
His song is all about him.
Yeah.
It's amazing because I know people that are like
Dude,
that
I
too.
hated that guy like the first few episodes.
Yeah.
But then his last episode, I was like, okay, I like him now. I'm sorry.
I know when he just tanks completely.
He hits, which is completely understandable, and I think it was a great writing choice for his
yeah.
character, because like in the first two times you see him skate, he's God. Like he's the king of ice
He's got
skating.
the hardest technical score, right?
Yeah, he is all about it. Like, he is the best, and he knows it. Like, at one point, like at the end of his dance, he looks into the ice and kisses himself. I'm like, dude, chill
all
out,
about it.
man.
And
Chill out.
everyone in the audience knows the lyrics to his song.
They're
too.
crying.
They're all
clap.
just
There's a dude.
JJ.
There's a dude with a Canadian flag running up and down the side. That dude's way in. He makes so.
He's just so excited.
He's just all about it. But then during the final tournament or whatever, he has that thing where a lot of people during competitions have, where they just blank out. Like they get that pit in their stomach, and they're just they hit the rock bottom.
Well, he blew everything into the beginning competitions.
Yep. And then he just had a break, and everyone. His family and everyone still gives him encouragement. They still treat him well and everything like that. And he still leaves with his dignity, but he gets a humbling moment. And I was like, okay, I can deal with this guy.
The scene that like broke my heart about him too is him promising his fiance that they were gonna get married after he won, and he just tanks. And I'm like, this poor man is having a whole crisis on this ice.
Unlike that solid guy who went fucking milady with his girl, and she breaks up with him in the middle of a competition. His girl's like, I still love you, tears in his eyes. Whereas like this other character from Spain, I believe, Sala, and his girlfriend, who's also an ice skater, have like a breakup in the middle of their like.
Oh no, that's his sister.
What?
Yeah, they're brother and sister.
Sala?
Yeah.
His sister. Wait, I must have misread that.
Yeah, they're brother and sister.
No, are you sure? Don't they break?
They don't break up. It's because he's like so codependent on her being there, and she's like, you can do this on your own. You need to realize that you can do this on your own. And she's basically like pushing the baby bird out of the nest.
Is that what it is? Oh, yeah. I must have missed that detail. See, I do this a lot. I'll watch things and especially with some of this anime, where I've been binging through it just so we can, I keep it fresh on my mind going into it. I'll miss a detail or two, and I think it's one thing.
Michelle and Sada, which is actually Sarah.
Yeah.
They're fraternal twins.
Okay.
Yeah. They're from Italy.
Italy, that's right. That's right. They're Italy. They're tan.
They're very tan.
Yeah, very tan. Well, that's why
they have sun over there. Nobody else has sun.
I mean, we have sun over here too, but like,
yeah,
whatever.
I know.
Yeah, screw that. So there's this wonderful, colorful cast of characters who have like their different quirks and things, and they range for me from holy God, get over yourself to I like that person. They're cool. But for me, like, I think the character I kind of empathize with the most on the show was Yurio, because I know this is a generalized term, and I don't like saying it because like I think it gets overused in the wrong places. I feel a little bit like Victor is kind of a manic pixie dream boy, just a little bit. I know. Hear me out.
How often does this get used in your life? Because it's not often.
Well, there's manic pixie dream girls, right?
I mean,
in terms of like your Ramona Flowers, or she's not really, but like that terminology gets used a lot, where they're a character who has all these. I'm trying to remember and recall during the entire show, what's Victor's flaw? What's the thing that, because like for me it's like I'm trying to figure out what's Victor's angle in terms of why was he making these decisions, because the only thing that he gave me in terms of like leaving Yurio to go train with Yuri, and he like even at the last episode he makes a comment of like Yurio needs to train by himself because that's the only way he can figure it out or whatever. He has a reason for it, but I was like, yo, you left Yurio to go train Yuri and everything like that, and by the way, Victor in those first episodes or whatever is aggressive in terms of like he's going up to Yuri and like grabbing his chin. He's like he is. I was like,
he's just you're fat. Like,
oh, that too. Well, no, I was more referring like sexually and everything like that. But he also
that stuff too.
Well, yeah, and I'm just like, somebody need to call the horny police on Victor over here. Like, I feel like somebody needs hello, 911, emergency. I'm like, it felt a little weird to me. But then also that also bothered me a little bit too when you start calling him Little Piggy, because I got a little. I was like, hey, I get it. You mean it's like a term of endearment, but could you not? Just it's a little much for me. All right, I got my body issues. You don't need to put that on Yuri or whatever. I do like Yuri as a character. Because I do like his arc. I do like the way that basically he's building confidence through through everything or whatever. And granted, it is through like his relationship with Victor, and building off of their love and everything along those lines. I don't know. I was just trying to find I was trying to relate to it, right? Like I was trying to find like a point where I can feel like I was like I felt I don't know, not comfortable, but like I felt like I was invested into their relationship. But at no point did I feel like there was much of a I guess I didn't feel like there was like stakes. You know, like the series ends with like it ends in like in a traditional like sports movie where they don't get the first place, they get silver and everything like that. So it obviously alludes that there's probably gonna be another season. So there's probably gonna be more to it, and maybe
There's going to be a movie.
Oh, there's gonna be a movie.
It's called Ice Adolescence.
Okay.
Or Ice Adolescent or Adolescence? I don't remember. I
Adolescence
literally
makes
looked
sense.
at it today.
Oh, okay.
And now I already forgot.
So there'll be a continuation of it. So I hope there's a
I
little...
don't even know if it's that. I think it's actually giving you a backstory on Victor. I think that's the whole point of it.
Maybe then I'll understand Victor as a character a little more, because I feel like that was the thing, is that he's a little underwritten. I feel like there's not a lot of detail to glean from like why he was making a lot of these decisions.
Yeah, Ice Adolescence.
Yeah, I just don't feel like there was enough kind of... And I think it was just kind of like in general with the show, even though like there was a lot of like cool characters and a lot of interesting things and a lot of detail, I think the one thing that kind of lacked for me at least was the relationship between Victor and Yuri, because at certain points it just felt like what is, besides them just being in love, like what other things are kind of carrying that relationship forward, not for just for Yuri, because I think for Yuri that's the confidence. Like I feel like that's just like there's somebody in his life that he cares about and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to understand why Victor was making those decisions, other than like he's there and he's perfect and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and I know that like part of Victor's thing is he was kind of feeling like lost in his success.
Yeah, well, so he had like inspiration issues.
Yeah,
that was like I think that was the kind of like their angle to why he went to Yuri, was that he didn't have he felt like he was lost in his success and he didn't have inspiration. So he left Yurio in Russia to go pursue Yuri in Japan, leaving Yurio in the dust. And I was just like, you're just gonna leave that boy behind? Like, excuse me?
Well, I think part of the issue is like the being in Russia, because the thing is that they're being trained by the exact same coach.
Yeah.
And so he knew that like regardless of what he was doing, he was like, there's still this limit, because he's not going to get to experience anything new. It's just the stuff that he experienced when he was 15. Like it's just a repeat.
Right. And so, but like, I also think it was just because I also felt bad for Yuri as a character, which is, I think it's the whole point. Even though I think like the show every once in a while, I think they make him a little too much of an asshole. Like I feel like there's certain points where like I felt like they're kind of pushing him a little too much to be like a jerk. Whereas like at other points, I know they want us to empathize with him, like with dealing with his grandfather and having his more sentimental moments here and there. But I guess they just want to keep that rivalry going into whatever they're doing next with them. But yeah, it was just like, as I was going through the series, there were certain points where I was just kind of like, I felt like it was a little underwritten, I guess. But like, I think that's not necessarily, I think also falls on the fact that this maybe just isn't my cup of tea. You know, like I think that's why the sitting in a waiting room in like, or a repair shop analogy works, is that like I'm watching it because I appreciate it for what it is. I enjoy a lot of the animation. I enjoy a lot of the stuff that went into the whole thing. But when it comes to, especially kind of like performing art stuff, a lot of it comes down to like emotion and, you know, things. Well, I was trying to think of the word that I was looking for specifically for like just. It's not vague. It's not. It's basically just you're using everything. There's a lot of emotion putting into it. There's a lot of like feelings, and there's a lot of this, and there's a lot of that, and I'm just kind of like, that's cool. That's not my thing, and I respect that it isn't my thing, and I can at least appreciate you putting your body and your effort into this whole thing to do these really cool fucking spins.
No, yeah. So seeing that, and for me, there's a lot of like little nuances that
Yeah.
I took away from this just because I was in the competitive dance world, and I've kind of like there is something like a big thing, and obviously I understand why you would say like the relationship is a little weird because it just kind of seems to come out of nowhere. But they're like as a person who watching like for me if watching a guy dance, watching him put his all into something, there is something so incredibly charged about that feeling because you're like watching this person put everything they have on the line in front of people, and you're incredibly vulnerable because you don't know what could or could go wrong. And again, a lot of people pour a lot of personal emotion into things like this, which like Yuri's doing, though he's falling in love with a pork cutlet bowl for half of the damn show.
One thing I will say before you turn on Ryan and Porco Bowl, I did like, and I think it was a nice nuance to understanding not only his confidence but his sexuality. The ballet scene where he figured out that his sexual side isn't masculine, it's feminine. I'm like, I like that.
And he went and got taught.
Yeah. And he figured out that when basically during his routine, he's the person that he's seducing is Victor. He decides that he can't do it in a masculine form. He has to do it in a feminine way. So he learns how to do that. And I liked that aspect. It reminded me. But continue what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so like and that's like a big thing that they show. So you get that first inkling of that kind of feeling driving between Victor and Yuri, which is in that initial competition when Yurio decides just to leave because he saw it in Victor that Victor was like, this person has so much potential and so much drive and so much emotion. And I honestly think that part of the reason that Victor was okay with not like going and coaching Yurio is because Victor knew that he was being left with an amazing coach because that's Victor's coach. And he knew that by him leaving, he was giving the spotlight to Yurio because now he's the main Russian person that they're watching.
Right.
And then he's also pushing him because he's like, you are so, because Yurio was constantly just striving to run and be in Victor's place, where now Victor is driving somebody else, and Yurio needs to come not only above whatever Victor can pull out of somebody, but also just what that person has themselves. So now you're fighting against essentially two people to make it to where you want to be.
Right. I see that aspect of it. I will say the Russian side of things when they were training him and everything like that. I guess maybe it was just the way they're animated or the way they kind of portrayed. They definitely, to me, for a little bit, seemed way more antagonistic. Like, they seemed more like the antagonist of the show. Like seemed like I felt like maybe at some point like the head coach of Russia was going to pull something or whatever, and that doesn't happen. It's just, I guess, the way he's portrayed, he's very stern, which I guess, like, you've seen Russian coaches in, like, the Olympics and everything like that. We know how they,
Well, they made him a very technically driven person. Like, that was what he was caring about the most. Like, I've seen so many coaches that it's big on just, like, your technical side.
Right.
And that can be part of the problem. And I think that was part of the reason that Victor was so, like, incredible at what he did. Because he was able to not only kind of break away from maybe the typical Russian skater thing of like being very technically sound, he added that emotion, he added that androgyny. They talk about all those little things which are not the most typical over in Russia. I mean, that's like a huge driving thing here too, is that these are two countries that this androgyny and homosexuality, all of these things don't fly.
Yeah, they're not.
So
no me gusta, if you will.
Yeah, so I think there's just a lot of like small nuances. Now, obviously, there's a lot of issues. I think that if it's great that this was done in Japan, but it could have been taken like 1 to 2 steps further if it hadn't been.
Yeah.
Because it's still very much falling under Japan's hush hush law.
Yeah.
which again is a whole big issue.
Right. And I think that probably also kind of hurt a little bit in terms of the story because they probably couldn't have gotten into more detail about why they're like, especially for Victor, why he was the way he is, and maybe like maybe if they went into those details, they could have they would have had more free reign in terms of what they can tell.
Which part of me is also wondering if they intentionally didn't do that because they knew that they were going to do this movie.
Yeah.
Because the movie, from what you see in the trailer, is strictly just about Victor and him growing up as a figure skater.
Okay.
So it is going to be 100% driven by like whatever the hell went on in his world.
I wouldn't mind if that comes out at some point where I can easily watch it. I wouldn't mind watching it because like I feel like I wanted to give this thing I feel like I gave it a fair enough shake. Like I think if you love like if you're Alexis, if you're somebody who loves this shit, you will A plus plus plus. If you're somebody like me who I like my stuff to be a little maybe like more story driven or action stuff. I'm a guy, but I don't want to say that as a guy because like I can like things that are like I cried it up. What do you want me to do? Like I like my softer, nicer things and everything like that. Like I'm not trying to say like this butch dude and everything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's a taste thing, and if you're somebody who really appreciates animation, perfect. Like this is a beautifully done show. It just I don't know. But I will watch that. I want to watch that Victor thing just so if it gives me more insight into the show, I feel like I can appreciate it more.
Yeah, so. It's definitely an interesting. I do think that there was some like intentional. I don't know. They're always like. Japan usually is pretty freaking good about knowing that when they're going to put something out that people are going to want more of it. I don't know how they managed to do that so well because we do not excel at that over here in America.
No. The amount of times where movies have like left sequel bait and they're just like they bombed. Why'd you leave it trying to like trail off or whatever? Like, oh, we're going to talk about the next movie. It's not happening.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's again, it has its flaws as a general, because I know obviously if you're going to research into this at all, I'm not gonna like get super heavy into this, but it so the way that yaois work.
This is her forte. This is all her.
Well, yeah. So as a consumer of the yaoi, yaois are typically, if you don't know, they are typically written by women for women. It's the same way with yuris. They're usually written by men for men, but they're about lesbian relationships.
Is that seriously the way it works?
Yes.
Well, yaoi makes some sense.
But here, and this is why this is not labeled as, so this is where, again, it gets like really hairy with the situation. So yeah, yaois are typically, they are made for women's consumption. Mm-hmm. And it is very fantasized. I was trying to say a different word there, but it's very fantasized in the way that an actual gay man will probably read it and be like, relationships don't work like that. And I think most of us women that are reading them too, we know that that's not how it is. But like, there's this very evident thing of, as soon as you see the two main characters, you know who's the top and who's the bottom, and it ain't gonna change. Like, there ain't no switches in here.
One road and one road only.
You've got the uke and the seme, and that's all you got. And you're like, okay. But yeah, it's like this finally kind of broke away from that, which is why it is not being labeled that. It broke away from that idea only to a certain extent, because obviously it was something that was going really, really public, where a lot of yaoi is not public. You really just have to know those artists in order to find those types of mangas, but.
Or you just go to like an American anime convention, there's just long boxes full of them. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Just like, go get your stuff.
And then another thing with this show, knowing that it can go worldwide, you're now including a Russian character, which means that you have to be careful. Like whenever you're portraying, or you have an anime where you're portraying multiple different countries, and this is where Hetalia gets a lot of like hits and misses, but it's still quite hilarious.
It's further down the road.
Yeah, but so when you're portraying a country as a certain way and like their values, you have to be so careful. So you're left with Russia and Japan, who are two countries that if you look up their laws, they're not very great on things like that. So it's this weird, and that's where people got frustrated with it because it was constantly like this weird, are they in a relationship? Are they, like, I'm pretty sure like if you Google like, are Yuri and Victor like dating? Gay?
Yeah.
Is Yuri on Ice bisexual? I'm like, what? Okay.
I feel like even in its like trying not to say that they are, it still does a good job of being like, no, they are like
the exchanging rings is like so blatantly out there because look, there's a lot of things about this that the coach and student dynamic I really, really love, and it like puts me in a nostalgia place. But then when that stuff starts happening in the exchanging of rings, coaches don't do that with their students.
That's a critique. That's a critique I fucking had because, and I'm glad you said it because that was 100% something I was thinking about, and I didn't know if that was like going to be an issue. Was that 100%? Even before the exchanging of rings, when he wanted to be his coach and everything like that, when he was being like all touchy-feely and stuff, I'm like, I don't know. How old's Yuri again? 23? Okay. All right. I was just making sure. But even then, I was just like, it's a weird dynamic. But
I mean, I know that part of their weird thing, again, is that they were making Victor, he's supposed to be like this more androgynous character, but he's like a little more flamboyant and out there. And it's supposed to, like, I mean, granted, I think it's nice that there are multiple flamboyant characters in this, but they're all flamboyant in different ways.
Yeah,
so it's not just like, sometimes when they have like the character, like you have a show, like even just an American TV show, and there's like the one gay character, they're so above and beyond the rest of the group that you're like, you're standing out like too much, and this is not realistic.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing too is like, if from what I kind of researched, and obviously I'm not in the figure skating world, like homophobia is still kind of prevalent in figure skating. Like a little, like it's still not like the obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but from my research, a lot of people were kind of saying that it is still a kind of like touchy subject at least, and that might be because of the mixing of countries all the time.
Yeah, I can see that being the issue. Is that it's not necessarily like it's not amongst the finger skaters themselves. It's amongst how certain other places are still kind of
Yeah. So like if
closed-minded.
If you're gay and you're going to a country where that's not accepted in order to skate, you're probably not going to say anything about you being gay. Like you're just going to, and you might not say anything in your entire career for a little while. I mean, like I know that that's a thing because I've seen some skaters that have retired and then come out.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we don't have to deal with that stuff anymore.
Yeah. So, and that's what the other thing that I was like, I think it's at least kind of still around. Again, don't know the extent because I'm not, because I mean, even in the dance world, it's, like when I was in competitive dance, it wasn't, well, granted, I don't know. It wasn't.
She's like, Alexis watching her just trying like, yeah.
Well, because it's weird because for like me and my studio, like none of us cared.
Balance.
Yeah, like none of us cared. But yeah. I definitely remember being at some competitions, and obviously in the dance world, you'll hear people all the time talk about how if you're a guy, you automatically get more points, and that is to keep men dancing, which is unfortunate. I beat a guy though, so I'm, but I'm still proud of that. That was my like very first big first place win, and he won second.
Is that a thing in dancing where it's like it's just mixed groups and everything like that? They don't do like males or females or anything like that? Or?
Oh yeah, no, it's just mixed together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeps it clean, I guess, whatever, except for, more points or whatever. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, the way that like the system works in dance, which the one frustrating thing about dance is everybody's like point scale is slightly different. So typically you have a gold, a high gold, and a platinum. But now you got these competitions that have gold, high gold, platinum, diamond, ruby, and I'm like, who?
Was this a League of Legends ladder? Like,
Yeah, so you have to be like perfect score. I think it's like 5 points away from a perfect score is the ruby. So you have to be within 5 points or a perfect. I'm like, that is absolutely insane. But not all competitions do that. Only some of them do that. So you'll get like, if you look at my like trophy wall that's at my parents' house, I've got all of these different varying levels, and you're like, you did that bad at a competition? I'm like, oh no, at that one, that's good.
that's a good one. That's a good one. That was a bad one. I'll admit that was a bad one. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah, it's just because I'm like, I don't know, the scoring system was weird at that one. So that's the only thing with like dance. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no consistency there. I mean, there is, but there isn't at the same time. But anyways, back to the topic.
Anime.
Well, yeah, it's but like in the dance world, I remember hearing comments from people that were like in the audience or sometimes I don't think I ever really heard things from other studios, but I didn't hang around backstage too much, but I definitely remember kind of being in the audience and there being this like, even though these were parents that were there supporting their child who's dancing, there was somebody else's son up there and it was just like not fully acceptable to them. And it's
Oh.
like this, and I don't know if that was acceptable at their studio to say things like that or whatever. So there's like,
People's
it's always underlying.
So the parents who are mostly there with their kids, even this, I don't even think it's like a dance thing. I think it's just a general. My kids in a sporting esque competition esque thing.
Mm-hmm.
The parents who use that as like they're using their kid as their gateway to like just be shitty people and be overly competitive. That's just a general rule, and those people can go fuck themselves because you should be there for your kid and should be there to encourage them to do great. You shouldn't care about how the other kids are doing. You should just be be happy that your kid does well, or be there if they don't do well, if they start crying. Like just gotta be there. Just be there to be the supportive parent. Don't be a helicopter parent, and also don't be shitty to other kids. Like how about you don't do that?
Yeah. So I don't know 100% in the figure skating world like how that was just from my little bit of research because I did initially when I watched this anime I went on this like bender of this because I didn't know that people were having discussions about it, but when I watched it I was like, there's some issues here.
Yeah.
I need to explore these and I need to know if I'm the only one that's noticing them, and I wasn't.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely. I really would have like loved to have seen if it was just fully fleshed out as like, because I think there would have been so many really cool opportunities, and it kind of happens, but it also kind of doesn't because again, you're having this constant push and pull. Like, are they going that direction? Are they? I don't know. And then all of a sudden, the exchanging of the rings and shit happens, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess it is happening.
I guess it's then and now. Just it is now happening.
But yeah, I think there would have been a great opportunity to see like this amazing, because they had a very interesting coach and student dynamic just from the get-go. I mean, like Victor literally breaks Yuri's heart right in the middle of everything.
Yo.
I know coaches like that, and it hurts,
But Victor
man.
like does it because he's just like, I think I gotta do this, right? Like this is a thing that normal coaches do.
Yeah.
And he does it and he's like,
He's like, I just shattered
oh
him.
no, I made it bad.
Yeah, and he's like,
I was like, yeah, Victor, you sure did make it bad. You want to go fix that real quick, or you just gonna let him ball his eyes out? Which he ended up working out fine because he needed to get the emotion out, I guess. But I was like, come on, buddy.
Yeah, but yeah, I think there would have been something so like beautiful about watching a fully fleshed out like coach dynamic that they had going on, and then watching it kind of evolve, and there be moments like there could have been singular moments of each of them where they were kind of like, why am I feeling a little different? Like why?
Yeah.
Like you kind of notice those times when they shift, but they're also like, but I'm his coach, but I'm his student right now. And
that's just it. It goes. It doesn't. For me, it's. The show doesn't take its time with it. It doesn't start as like I want to be like. It doesn't start with Victor just being quirky for just being quirky. Like when he's in the hot spring and he's naked, I can totally see him just being like, I don't care. I'm comfortable in my body. Like I'm naked in front of him and he's nervous about it. I don't care because it's just me, and I can be comfortable with that. That's fine. But when he makes like some advances here and there, I'm just kind of like, is he doing it because he's trying to get him in that mindset as a coach, or is he just being horny? And I was like trying to understand it, and I think it would have been better.
I still love that Instagram post when they end up going to Barcelona, and it's the Instagram post, like Yuri's going through and he's like, where's Victor? Oh, he's down at the pool with Kristoff, and they're just like at the edge of the pool
my
with the leg up.
God. Jesus.
That's one of my favorite things ever.
Just doing it up, just being extra.
Yeah, because both of them are such like
Yeah.
they are a flamboyant duo. They are wild.
Eccentric is the word.
I love them. Well, flamboyant isn't a bad term. It's just out there and outrageous.
Yeah. Eccentric is another word, I guess. Whatever. But yeah, I think like you said, like I would have liked it to be start off as like more of like a coach teacher dynamic, and like it there's like little hints here and there. And then, like, it starts, like, kind of, like, then it starts slowly turning into it, and they're just trying to figure out how to handle it best, and then if they give into it or not. If it was written, and I think in a way that was more realistic, I think I would have appreciated it more. But for me, it was, like, when you're referring to yaois can be somewhat fantastical and just there because it's just like, oh my, why I do declare, they're already in love with it. Oh my, oh yes, the next page is gonna be so tantalizing. My goodness, like stuff like that. Like it just kind of went into it, and I think it's just kind of like, I don't know if it's just because the way the person was writing it was just so used to that kind of style or whatever, but I would have liked maybe a little more subtlety, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Let's be a little more subtle with it.
And that's like the so weird thing is because they did an amazing job on like the sports anime part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But they, like, this author really wanted to just like throw this other stuff in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But like needed it to go under the radar enough that they wouldn't get in trouble. It is such a weird thing, and it could just be, obviously I don't live in Japan, I'm not going to speak on their politics, but it could just be a part of that whole like push that some people are trying to fight for over there. I don't know. But that's just what it feels like from like an outsider's perspective, that obviously we don't live over there, we don't know their politics, all we can do is Google the best we can. But yeah, it's definitely, it's so well done in so many aspects, but there is this like weird, like it just feels like we should put this under, like just get it out.
Just do it. Sneak it in.
Yeah, like it'll work. It'll be fine. It's fine.
It's not. Shh. It's fine. Just to let it happen.
Yeah, it's so odd, but
But like, it's cool that it happened. It's cool that it got as much mainstream press as it did, and maybe it will open up avenues for maybe a show that I can watch that tries to go for a story angle like this and that kind of relationship that I, maybe in a angle that I like that's not, finger skating.
I'm just gonna tell you that if you don't want to see a heavily like this type of anime done completely wrong, don't watch Free.
Free?
Yeah, the swimming one.
Oh.
It is like it's funny. So there's a similar like issue going on with these two, but the problem is Free is nothing but sexual aggression to each other, but nobody's dating. Like there's no thing in your head where you're like, are they together or are they? There's none of that. It's just sexual aggression all the time, and I'm like, what is this? Like, part of me still loves Free because I'm a thirsty single woman, but like, I could also sit back and be like, this is a lot. And you're just literally putting it under like, but it's a sports anime. But I'm like, no, it's not.
You like Ice Shield? You like Haikyuu? But it's like just, boners everywhere.
Haikyuu is doing right by the sports anime genre.
Oh, yeah.
I will definitely say that.
I need to watch Haikyuu. I have a bunch of friends who have been suggesting it. But
yeah, Free came out years ago now. It's a ride. The first time I watched it, I was like, are they all gonna start fucking?
Is this when the orgy begins?
Yeah, that's literally what it feels like, and I'm like, anybody who says anime is for children is a liar. Such a liar.
I think anime for children has been that terminology has been thrown out the window a long time ago.
I hope so, because dear God.
If you've ever stumbled upon the internet before, you're just like, oh, this is a hentai? Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, no.
Well, it's just like, even just like regular animes. I'm man, there is a lot that goes into these.
If Goblin Slayer is an example of, Kids like, oh, I want to watch this anime about swords and goblins and all that. Mom.
Or
Oh,
freaking like Elfenlied. Oh,
I don't know what that one is. No.
that's traumatizing.
Oh no.
It is. There are some traumatizing scenes that happen in that. It is very gory.
Oh. Ooh.
It's really great. I absolutely love it, and I suggest it to everybody. But it is a rough ride.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I need to put some more stuff on my list because as we're getting back in this anime, as I've been slowly getting back to anime, I need more stuff to watch. Where are we at right now?
2 hour and almost 10 minutes.
I don't know. It's 10 minutes.
So
Any parting words on Yuri on Ice?
uh,
The ice skating.
I will say one of my favorite things that they did for this show was shortly after it came out, they did a orchestral concert with ice skaters. I stayed up. I stayed up, guys, because this was in Japan time. I stayed up and I cried. I cried. It was so beautiful. At like, oh my God, because that's like one of my favorite things about this show is the music is just impeccable.
Oh yeah, the music is very good.
It's so great. It's so like even the funny, stupid ones of like JJ being the king. Like all of them are really well done, and there's such a beautiful. And I think that's part of what I love with like Yurio's song with Agape. It very much like listening to that song as because he doesn't perform it often. But when he does perform it, it's always in like these pivotal moments for him. And the song is like such a great soundtrack for him experiencing those moments. And I'm like, wow, I appreciate this.
His free skate dance was definitely like that ending for his, especially like when I slightly humorous because he was giving shit to his buddy for crying in the middle of the ice ring and everything. And then he has a breakdown at the end of his free skate. I was like, that was like that encapsulate I think perfectly his arc towards the end of just like he did the thing but he was done.
Yeah, and if you want to know some shit about this ending, Yurio beats Yuri by 0.12.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
They cut it close.
Man.
Which I guess like helps like kind of like puts the parallel between Yuri and Yurio in terms of like both their characters having the same name, which I thought was like kind of like a weird character aspect, but it gives them an interesting parallel at the end where they're just like they are neck and neck in terms of who they are. Completely different upbringings in terms of getting their skill together, but they are basically equals.
Yeah.
To by the point percentage.
And that was a thing too. I just like another brief like comment. A thing that I really liked about this particular sports anime is it wasn't a story about somebody who just wants to get into ice skating and like is absolutely garbage. Yuri was a really good ice skater because he got to the Grand Prix finals, which is really hard because it's typically invitation. So he got to it. And also they're not under 18, which is a lovely thing to see. You don't see a lot of people in their 20s when you're doing stories like this. But like he had so much potential. He just fell short and kind of lost his way. But he still has a passion and a drive for it, and somebody else kind of helped bring that out of him. I love that. I get so tired of the stories where it's like building from scratch. I'm like, nah, I want to see somebody who is up there and can do shit and just needs like
he needs a push up.
Help.
He's a little
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I was like completely. I didn't think it was a complete waste of time watching it. I think I thoroughly enjoyed certain aspects of it. I did have my critiques of it and everything like that. Would I probably sit there and watch it again? Maybe. Like if Victor's story for the movie gives me some detail and gives me kind of the things felt like was kind of lacking in the series and works as a good companion piece going into it, I think I'd give it a rewatch again. But
Watched it so many times.
Yeah. I mean, that makes complete sense, Alexis.
It's great. I cry every time. It doesn't stop.
I cry every time.
It stops. That last episode, and then him and Victor start skating at the end. I'm like, ah! Just straight boo-hooing on the floor.
Just in a ball, just crying. That's fair. But
Oh, and we didn't even mention that both of them beat Victor's records.
oh yeah, I didn't miss that part. Yeah, so
Which was like that was like a big moment for Victor.
Yeah.
I think you really saw like him go.
that was
Aha.
that was the point. That's the point where he figured out the things he did, the things that he was doing to build up. Both those characters he did were right. It was that they both beat his records, and now he's like, oh wow, I guess the thing I did was the right thing to do. Looky here,
No,
because he's perfect.
he is. He's a perfect boy.
It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with him.
Watch, we're gonna get this freaking movie, and it's gonna be depressing.
Oh,
It'll be like,
please tell me that he had the hardest fucking upbringing in the entire fucking world, and then you see his character on Yuri on Ice, like, oh, he's just a good person, even though he had like, please give me that detail. Don't just tell me like
very positive.
yeah, he's just a very positive person, and that's why he's perfect in every mannerism.
Also, I love young Victor so much.
I'm assuming you
That
did.
ponytail, I was like, wow, he's so cute. If we were the same age, I'd be totally into young Victor. Totally.
No,
If
there was never such a time where I would look at you and say, no shit, you would be. like just watching him skate, I'm like, yeah, Alexis is totally about this guy.
Totally about
She's just like, oh my God, my ovaries.
Can't help it.
I can't.
I'm a sucker for my androgynous men, I guess, or my men that are very eclectic.
Eclectic.
I never end up dating anyone that is like that, even though I wish. But whatever.
Yeah, you know.
Every time I explain my type to somebody, and then they see who I've dated, they're like, "What?"
They're like,
I'm like, I don't know. I just like them. It's fine.
you keep on explaining that your favorite candy is Snickers, but you keep on eating Reese's Pieces. Like I don't, they're not even remotely the same.
Hey, I like what I like.
Yeah. Is it filling with sugar? Yeah, that's all that matters.
Yep. There you go.
And on that note,
Oh God, we always have the weirdest endings.
I mean, that's the way to go out on. It's just us being weird.
That's true.
I feel like that's apropos. All right. So we're going to go and end this one. Next thing we're going to talk about for the next episode is going to be the Bring Me the Horizon album, which I got some things to talk about that bad boy. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, this will be before Valentine's Day. Hopefully you had a good Valentine's Day with the people you like, or if you decide to run it
Tolerate.
Damn. Holy shit. Please don't be tolerate. If it is tolerate, then you got to go therapy. Therapy.
No, don't do that.
Yeah. Do you know what? For Valentine's Day, do you, boo. Do you, boo. Valentine's Day.
Jesus.
We'll catch you guys later.
See
Appreciate y'all.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.